Welcome to the podcast Desde Cero con Manuel. Bienvenidos a Desde Cero. Today we have a very special guest, Texas A&M tennis team member, class of 2023, Guido Marson. Guido, how you doing, man? Welcome to the podcast.
Great. Doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Well, let's get going, and we want to know, where was Guido born?
I was born in Pordenone, Italy, and I spent my first 18 years of my life in Italy until I decided to go to college here in the States. But I spent all my life in Italy and Europe.
Okay. Family. Tell me about your family.
My family, they're 100% Italian, and we live in the northeast part of Italy, close to Venice. Okay. Even though we have traveled quite a bit throughout the years. I've lived in Turin, Florence, but mainly we're from the northeast.
Okay. Tell me the name of your parents and your siblings.
Maurizio is my dad, Franca is my mom, and Alessandra is my sister.
And how old is your sister?
My sister is 27-year-old, and she's working in Paris right now.
Okay. What year were you born?
In 1999.
1999.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, before we get going, I want to remind everybody to please subscribe to Desde Cero con Manuel on YouTube. Keep supporting the channel and help us keep growing. Okay. Well, Guido, let's talk about your life in Italy. Tell me about growing up in Italy.
Well, I had just an awesome experience that I didn't know at the time, so I thought that was it. But I had unbelievable friends. I used to go to school, public schools, until I decided to play tennis more intensively and professionally. But at the beginning, I used to play 3-4 sports and used to just play around and with my friends and with my family. So just awesome times.
Okay. School. Tell me about your elementary, middle, and high school. What do you call high school over there?
We call it liceo.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I used to always do public schools. But then when tennis got really intense, I started doing private schools.
Okay.
Starting from my second year of high school, I've always done private schools. And that allowed me to play a lot of tennis, because in Europe, the system is a little bit different. So it's tougher to combine sports and education. So I had to go to private schools in order to maintain my tennis and be able to train and travel and play some tournaments.
Okay. What sport did you first play? What was your first sport that you played?
As an Italian, I had basically no choice, but I started playing soccer.
Soccer, right.
And then I was playing rugby, and I had so much fun playing rugby, even more than soccer. And then tennis came into the equation, and I started playing tennis at that time. And then I left the other two sports, and the rest is history.
Okay, so what was your dream as a young man? What did you want to be at a young age? Because we all want to be police officers, firemen, and whatnot. What was your dream as a child?
My dream as a child, I wanted to be a professional tennis player. Okay. That has always been my dream. And just in the latest years, it has shifted a little bit. But when I was young, I used to look up to Federer and Nadal.
Oh, okay.
And these were my idols. Still now, Federer is my idol. But yeah, it's not my dream anymore.
Okay. When did you first have a real interest in playing tennis?
My aunt used to be a great tennis player. And she used to teach tennis. She was a great teacher. So that's how I got into the sport. With her, we used to play at this little court next to around my hometown. And that's how I started playing tennis.
Okay, because of your aunt?
Because of my aunt.
Okay, what was her name?
Chiara.
Chiara. Yeah. Okay. So who was your first tennis coach, and what impact did they have on you?
My first tennis coach, it was my aunt.
Right.
She was a tennis teacher, and then I started playing in Udine, which is a little city in the northeast of Italy, and I started playing with Mauro Commisso, which is a great tennis player, and also he was teaching tennis, and we started having a few players, started playing together and practicing together. And we just really liked each other, and we were working hard, and that's how it started.
Okay.
So it was thanks to him that I really got into tennis, into something more structured.
Right. So when did you first compete?
I started competing at 10 years old. My first tournaments, they're great experiences. Weren't taking losses well, but
at 10?
Yeah,
okay.
10, 11 years old.
Okay. What was your first tournament? Do you remember?
I do remember it, but not as much. It was just like some tournaments like between us kids in the region, and I just remember it was a lot of fun.
Right. You felt excited to say, "Hey, this is going to be my actual first tournament." And you had those butterflies in your stomach, and you were ready to go, right?
Yeah, no, right. I was like super nervous, and the thing I remember though, my first match, I lost like a tight first set, and I thought it was over. Like I quit. I was crying, like and kind of gave up. Like that. I just remember that about my first match.
Right. So, what was your first big win that you considered? Oh, this is a big win for me.
My first big win, it came around when I was like 14 years old. For some reason, I started like putting like some pieces together, and I got to play for my country, Italy, which for me was a huge deal, and still now has been a huge deal. And I don't remember the match that turned things around, but that was definitely like my biggest achievement at age 14, and then later in the 17s to play for my country. My biggest win was just basically play for Italy.
Okay.
In the competitions.
Right. So when did you feel that tennis was going to be your sport? Because you played soccer, rugby, and other sports. When did you feel that this was going to be your calling, your number one sport for you?
So when I was like around 10 years old, I left soccer and I was playing just like rugby and tennis.
Right.
And rugby team sport, used to love it, but at tennis, I like the part of like competing by myself too. And I would say around 11 years old, I started like dedicating all my time to tennis.
At age 11?
Age 11, 12, I started playing full-time tennis and tournaments. And that's where I started to really get serious about it.
Right. And did somebody say, hey, you should stick to tennis? Was there somebody else who saw the same thing you felt?
No, I felt no pressure whatsoever coming from my parents or coaches. My coach like told me that he felt like I had a potential and like I should play it, but from my parents, they always like wanted me to do what I loved, whatever the sport was. They just cared about me having fun with my friends.
Right. So how many days a week did you train at a young age?
At a young age. When I started to play full time or like before with other sports?
When you started playing tennis at 11, 12 full time?
I would say I would go 3-4 times a week. Not every day, but like I would say like 3-4 times a week when I was young. Was it an hour, 2 hours? Yeah, I would do like probably like 2-3 hours when I was like young, from 11 to 13, 14. Okay. And then I started like really practicing a lot, starting at age 14, 15. Then I started to play like every day and doing fitness. So. Hours and hours of drills and backhands and forehands. Yeah. Still now. Yeah. Yeah, you never stop learning, right? No, never stop learning. Okay. So we have USTA, United States Tennis Association. You know, that's our governing body. What does Italy have as a governing body for tennis? We have FIT. FIT. What is that? Italian Federation. Italian Tennis Federation. Okay. And what is how do you kind of be a member in that? 'Cause, you know, these guys, I'm here with Talon and Alan, they're, you know, Rudder tennis players, and they've always been members of USTA. Mm-hmm. So how do you become a member of FIT? It's super easy to process in Italy. Tennis is the second most followed sport in Italy, believe it or not. And so it's super easy to sign up. You just have a card, and then you can sign up and play the tournaments, and the rest it really depends on you, how much you want to play. It's pretty much like USTA. You pay your fee, you get your card, you can look up all the tournaments, and you can travel wherever you want. You know, every weekend if you want, correct? Yeah, I would say the same thing. I would say it's the same thing, but I think it's just way more accessible. The tournaments are way closer to you because Italy is not as big of a country, you know. So like you can just travel like an hour, and then the next day you're like 30 minutes away. And then, in Texas you could travel 12 hours and still be in Texas. Right. So that's pretty far. So what else can you tell me about your experience as a young man playing tennis in your teen years, pretty much? Right? My teen years, it was just so many experiences I've had like through tennis. Since a young age, I started traveling all over Europe. So I was traveling with my friends and the coach. So that really opened my mind. I used to travel like, to play in like Portugal and then France. So I got to see so many places. That's why I'm so grateful like for the sport more than like just the achievements or, what you get like by playing. I would say the main thing that I've gotten from it is actually like traveling, like getting to know like so many people, like seeing different things, seeing how different countries do certain things, It just really opened my mind as a kid.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, Italy is known for great food, right?
Yeah.
What is your favorite food here in the United States?
United States, I love to go to steakhouses, and my coach always makes sure that once a trip we always go with the team. So that's definitely like my favorite thing here in the United States.
Go to steakhouses
and
eat big steaks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's my thing here in Texas.
Look,
Mexican food. Mexican food is awesome.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. I've been eating it all my life.
No, yeah, and, like tacos and like they're unbelievable. And also when I went to Monterrey, like they were great. Like
yes, yeah. Where have you traveled here in the U.S. besides Bryan College Station?
I've traveled basically all over the United States.
Is this because of the tennis or because you want to visit the U.S.?
Yeah, when I came to the United States to play tennis, already through tennis, we've played from East Coast to West Coast, South, North. Like we've played in a lot of different places, but also I wanted to visit some places on my own. So I went to visit some natural parks,
right.
And also went to the big cities like New York, like Miami. So I tried to see most of it.
Right, most of the U.S. that the New Yorks and the Californias and all that, right? Yeah. What was your favorite place to visit?
My favorite place to visit is a northern part of L.A. called Thousand Oaks. We always play like an invitational tournament there, and like just an awesome place, awesome people, and we've been going there for the past like 4 years. Apart from the year from COVID, but that was my favorite place to go, like to play in, because it's just so welcoming and pretty areas in Northern California.
Yeah, beautiful weather.
Yeah, all year. Like you can play outdoors. Like no need for indoor courts.
Right. What place would you like to visit that you hadn't visited before?
I'm a huge fan. I'm super curious of like national parks. So I've already gone to like Zion National Park and like Grand Canyon, but I would love to go to Yellowstone, and then I would love to go like up in the north, like to see like some of the big lakes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, more than the cities. Like I find the American cities like a lot of fun, very interesting, but I prefer to travel to cities in Europe. And here, I love to go visit like the national parks. And
visit all the mountains and the trees and the lakes and the waterfalls. And there's a lot of beautiful places here.
Right. Also, they're very different like from what we have in Europe. In Europe, we have a lot of landscapes like Colorado, like prettiest mountains, but we have nothing like real like canyons. So like things that you have in Utah and Arizona is something like we really don't have in Europe.
Right. Okay. I grew up watching tennis in the 90s. I got to watch, Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi, Michael Chang, Steffi Graf. What do you think about today's tennis versus, the earlier tennis?
We've just gone through probably the biggest and the best tennis era of history, because we had the big three, Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. They've dominated tennis for more than 15 years, and it was definitely the best we could see. So right now, tennis, yes, is evolving, but some of these biggest stars are kind of going away because they're getting old. So personally, I've started watching less tennis because Federer has not been playing anymore.
Right.
But still, the sport is evolving. There's great players. It's extremely competitive.
Right.
And definitely it's still getting a lot of traction from viewers and everything.
Right, because tennis is actually the fourth most popular sport in the world. Really? And that says a lot because here in the U.S. you got baseball, football, basketball, but tennis, it's number 4 in the world.
That's crazy.
Number one being soccer, of course.
Yeah.
But tennis is popular.
I feel like soccer first, then like, what is it? Cricket second.
I think cricket and what is it? Volleyball or something? It's something crazy like that. But yeah, and then baseball 7 and football, American football is like number 10. Mm-hmm. But being number 4, that is still popular, very popular. And I think that's what happened to me after Andre Agassi and Pete Sampras went out. I kind of started watching less. But Alan would watch Federer and we still had Andy Roddick and all these guys. So there was still tennis to watch.
Oh yeah.
But what are the upcoming stars now?
Well, there's Carlos Alcaraz. He's like crazy. He's the new number 1. And he's super young.
Where's he from?
From Spain, yeah. Like he's probably gonna be like up there with like the biggest talents that we've ever seen. He's the same caliber as like Federer or Nadal.
Okay.
So he's that big.
Who's y'all's favorite tennis player? Who's coming up?
Kyrgios.
What about you, Alan? Same thing?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everybody loves Kyrgios. Like, I do too. Like he's the most fun on a tennis court, that's for sure.
Okay, so who are your favorite tennis players?
Oh, Federer for me.
All time?
Yeah, idol. And I started to like Djokovic more, but just because I was training like close to Monaco. Mm-hmm. So I got to see him quite a bit, and I got to hit with some of these like professional players. So once I got to meet him, I realized he was extremely nice. Then I got I started liking him more. But definitely my biggest idol is Federer.
Okay. Let's talk about movies now. I asked everybody, what are your top 5 movies of all time?
All right, top 5 movies.
Let's go with your number 1. What's your favorite movie?
Shutter Island.
What's it called?
Shutter Island.
Oh, Shutter Island.
Yeah.
Is that with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. It's the craziest one. You won't understand it until the end. I like those type of movies.
Okay. Drama, suspense,
right? Yeah.
At the same time,
stuff like that. It goes into with psychology as well. Right, stuff like that. Like Inception is a good one as well. And I gotta go with Goodfellas.
Oh, okay. Look at that. That's the number 1 right there.
Goodfellas is crazy.
Alan's number 1. He's got a big poster up there with the Goodfellas.
Yeah. And Goodfellas is probably the best one, honestly. But also because it pictures some stuff from Italy too. Right. I like that stuff. And other great movies. I can't think of them right now, but I don't know. There's a lot of great movies.
Right. Yeah. But the first one is Shutter Island.
Shutter Island, yeah.
That's your favorite.
Yeah, Goodfellas is up there. Yeah. Lately, I've been seeing The Irishman was great, and I really liked it. But honestly, in the past years, I haven't watched much TV at all.
Well, you've been studying, man.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of time.
Right. So you've been studying and playing.
Studying and playing.
Right.
That's what college tennis is about, or student athletes. That's what they do.
Well, let's jump into that. Let's talk about Texas A&M. How did you hear about Texas A&M University in Italy?
So what happened is I was playing the ITF juniors. I was playing the tour for juniors. It was worldwide, so it's very big. And I had no idea at the time that I wanted to go to college. So basically what happened is I was just playing some of these tournaments in Europe, and coaches from the United States come and watch us or watch the young guys. And at the beginning, I was getting approached by some of these coaches, and I didn't really understand why they would do that. But then they were basically promoting United States colleges, and they would offer you scholarships to go play in the United States, while at the same time you would be studying and pursue a degree.
What were some of the colleges that approached you besides Texas A&M?
Georgia Tech, University of Miami. And I visited another school. So I visited Texas A&M, Georgia Tech, University of Miami, and Tulane. They're all great schools, both tennis and academically. Because when I decided to not go play professional right away, then I wanted to go to a school that had a great tennis program, but at the same time had great academics.
Okay, so when did you decide to play college tennis?
I decided super late, in 2017. in 2017, so 1 year before going to college, I decided that I wanted to go to college.
So were you still like in the high school that we call high school? And was it at your senior year that you decided?
Right.
You know, because some of these guys, they sign at in the 9th grade, 10th grade, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you decided towards the end of your
towards
high school, you decided to go, hey, let me try college tennis, right?
Towards the end of high school, I started like going on visits, and then I had to take some English exams, and then I got to go.
Okay, but you were thinking about going pro before going to college. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's all I knew. Okay. Back in the day, I thought like I'm gonna go play tennis.
Right.
But then
your thought was high school professionals.
Yeah.
Right. You weren't aware that you could go play college tennis.
No. Like everything was going well, but then like the wake up call was when I really twisted my ankle, and I broke 2 ligaments. So sometimes it happens that when you go through like tough injuries, you start thinking about okay, what do I do right now? So that's how like me and my sister and my family started thinking about other options, and that's how like I got into like college tennis.
Okay. So how did you end up joining the Texas A&M tennis team? You know, when did you decide to come here to Texas A&M University?
After I took my visit here in October 2017, I decided shortly after that I was going to come here. I just loved like the coaches, like great facilities, and also one of the reasons why I picked this place is because I had some European guys playing here that I knew, and since I really liked them, I decided to come here, as well as like the great academics and the great programs that they have here. But that's how I ended up like joining the team by August 2018.
2018 is when.
Yeah.
Okay. What is it like playing for a major university?
It's something you understand along the way, especially from someone from Europe. We don't have like colleges or universities that like they're associated with sports. Okay. There's no such thing as that. So when I came here, I realized, now I'm not really like playing just for myself. I'm playing for the university, and it's just huge. It's a lot of fun. And probably some more responsibilities come into the equation, but it's honestly so much fun. Like I would have never thought it would have been this much fun.
Yeah.
And it has flown by. Right now, like I'm 5 years deep, and I'm about to end my career here at Texas A&M.
Yeah, you're about to graduate, class of 2023. What did you major in?
I majored in finance. I did a bachelor's in finance at the Mays Business School, and right now I'm about to finish a master's in accounting and finance. So I'm about to finish in July.
Okay. Yeah. Congratulations, man. It's been a long road, right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been extremely long road and full of like many experiences. And when I came into university, I was definitely like not like the person that I am now. Did not like to study whatsoever. Just like to play tennis all day, and that's it.
Right. What was your experience like here at Texas A&M? The whole experience, not just tennis and class, but the whole, Texas A&M, going out and Northgate and all that stuff. What football and baseball, and because football here is a big culture, and it's a big thing. It's a big deal for Texas A&M. Yeah. What was your experience like for coming here to Texas A&M?
Yeah, like colleges have like great like stereotypes. That they're a lot of fun, and when I came here, definitely like they met the expectation. Like A&M is you can have a lot of fun at Texas A&M.
You heard stories, right?
Right. Now there's like even in Northgate, but not only that, like there's a lot of places where people hang out, or like even at the school, at Mays Business School, like people are extremely friendly. I've had an awesome experience in the past 5 years. Probably the favorite thing that I've done is like going to tailgates, and you get to hang out with your best friends, and you get to meet a lot of people. Like everybody's doing something, it's very interesting. And I've been living at Park West. That's an awesome place to live as well. But mainly, like for me, it was very different to come to the United States. Like a lot of things change. Culture is extremely different. But what helped me to move into Texas A&M is basically like my teammates were European as well, and some of them were American. So I kind of moved into like a team here, and like we started having a lot of fun together. We were extremely tight, so
Right.
everything we would do it as a team.
Right. What did you enjoy the most?
I enjoyed the most playing for the team, playing alongside with my best friends that ended up being my best friends. Playing along by their side has been my favorite thing, as well as like hanging out, like having fun. Tailgates are great times at Texas A&M.
Tailgates.
Yeah.
Before the football game, after the football game.
Right. Yeah. That
right.
was like we had a blast. Like we had a blast.
So, what do you think about the American sports? Football, baseball, basketball. Italy has a baseball team in the World Baseball Classic. Did you watch that?
I didn't watch that, but it got like super popular because they had I don't know if you've seen, they had the espresso machine like in the dugout, like, and it was like something like people have never seen, but for us it was like something like
it was something special,
normal,
But what do you think about the other sports? Did you ever go to the Texas Aggie football games and basketball games and other sports?
Yeah. Whenever I get the chance, I go. I started liking football a lot more. I'm not a huge fan of baseball, but it's still a fun atmosphere right. when you go around.
Yeah, especially going to the Aggie baseball game. Those are a blast.
Yeah, when there's a lot of like thousands of Aggies like all together, like it always is a good time.
What is your favorite memory at Texas A&M?
My favorite memory is clinching. I actually didn't clinch the match, but we beat Florida 4-3 at home, and it was a huge match. And one of my best friends clinched the match, but I contributed as well by winning the match. And we all came together. That was a huge day. Probably is amongst the best memories I've had here, as well as. A few weeks ago, I had my senior day. That was very special for me because it was my last match at home.
Okay. Tell me about Texas A&M tradition. Did you like the traditions here? Did you learn about traditions, the Aggie traditions and all that? Tell me about all that.
Yeah, I mean, Texas A&M is a huge community, right. First of all.
Yes. And
have like the craziest like traditions, and I would have never thought, Like when I came here, I saw like people buying to see like huge ring, the Aggie ring, and I was
right.
like,
"It's a big deal."
Yeah, it was like there's no way that it's this big of a deal. But throughout the years, like we've been traveling so much, and you go to airports, there's Aggies everywhere. I started finding Aggies in Europe as well, like, Paris or Venice, and I see Aggies around, and they recognize the ring. So I started realizing that it's a huge deal.
It's a huge deal, huge community.
Yeah, and so the traditions, like they stay with the people, starting from the 12th man, right. Silver taps, it seems like they stay with them for their whole life. And definitely for me, I found a new family here, which it seems crazy to say, but I've definitely like grown into a different man in my times in the United States.
Okay. What are your goals after college? Are you planning to stay in here in the U.S. or are you planning to go back to Italy?
My goals are work in progress. So right now I'm taking it a step at a time. I'm wrapping up my tennis career, and then in September of this year I'm going to work for Deloitte, which is a management consulting firm in Dallas. Okay. And I'm going to do like some finance and accounting job in audit and assurance. And so that's going to be like a new chapter for me. So instead of like being like, a full-time athlete, I transformed into like a student athlete here at Texas A&M. And then I'm going to go into the workforce and rediscover myself in a completely different industry. So I'm looking forward to that. And as soon as I'll have more time, to think about like the next chapter, like I'll think about like what's the new dream or what I would like to achieve.
Is there a possibility that you still go pro?
No. I've decided that I wasn't going to play professional probably around my freshman or sophomore year.
Okay, and the reason for that?
The reason is because when you're a student athlete at a big university, I was majoring in finance, and that takes a lot of like commitment and a lot of hours. So to be honest with you, like it's very tough to do everything like great and everything well, right? You have to pick and choose sometimes. It's kind of unrealistic to do like everything at the best. So what I started to do is I started like studying more, and I started putting a lot of effort in tennis as well. But throughout the years, I started like gaining interest in finance and accounting, and started seeing myself being good at it. So the major reason for not going professional is because I know that I have like a huge potential in the finance and accounting world.
Okay.
So I want to rediscover myself somewhere else. It was tough. It was a tough decision because I've dedicated most of my life to tennis.
Right.
And I definitely think like I still have a potential, but the tennis world is an extremely competitive sport. Only the first 100 to 150 players make a living out of it.
Right.
So when you start thinking, I've been studying finance and everything, I can see a career out of it. And on the other side is literally like you're betting on yourself, which is great. I have a lot of friends that are going through it, but only the 150 to 100 players make it big.
Right.
And I feel like I just didn't like to do it like that way. And also I didn't like to play futures. I just didn't see myself in that ambient for a long period of time. I preferred to apply myself somewhere else and rediscover myself and my potential.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause tennis is very demanding physically as well, right?
Yeah.
I think boxing and tennis require the same stamina. And boxing is hard.
Yeah. No, it's extremely hard to bet.
Yeah, it requires a lot. What advice do you have for the young generation?
Young generation in terms
For tennis.
of sport, for
Yeah.
tennis? For
these guys right here.
Yeah, I would say just like really enjoy it. Like, sometimes we get caught up in the early years, there's a lot of families that really try to push like the kids to play well or to play a certain level. But it really doesn't matter, especially at a young age. All it matters is you're getting better like day by day. But if you don't enjoy it, like, it doesn't matter how many hours you put into like a sport. Like if you don't enjoy it, like you won't be doing it for long. Instead, like I love tennis, I've enjoyed it a lot and I'll play it for my whole life, whether I'm playing professionally or not. So definitely like the biggest advice is like do something you enjoy. Like, you go with your friends and you hang out. If that's soccer or tennis or like whatever else, like, make sure you enjoy it. Like nobody's forcing you to do something you don't like.
Okay. That's good advice. What else? What do you want to add to the podcast? Is there something that you want to add? Something you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Or something you want to say to the?
I'll talk about like the student athlete experience.
Okay.
It's something like not many people understand because you see it kind of from the outside.
Right.
But the commitment that these student athletes make are like huge, and it's such a big group of like bright people coming together. And I feel like for personal development, combining sports and academics is great. Because sports teaches you like great values that you can apply to your life, and academics kind of give you the skills and personal development, to then apply your skills in whatever like industry you're gonna go in. But for me, when you go into a big university or in a D1 school, you have to be ready to practice like 4 hours a day and then travel a whole lot. And if you study for a good major, you have to study at night, you have to make up time. So you learn how to manage your time. And I think it's just great. Like, so it's very demanding. It's a lot of fun. But, like it pays off in the long run for all the people that I've seen going through Texas A&M, certainly.
Okay. So, man, this podcast has been pretty good. What do y'all guys think? Y'all got any questions to ask? Yeah, good. Now you train with some of these kids, right?
Yeah,
we've played Talon and Alan. Yeah,
we've played in the summers. We've been having fun. I've gave a few tips. So that, yeah, I feel like I've got a decent experience in tennis like from my years. So that I really like to play with like people whenever I can.
Okay. Well, before we go, do you, Guido, you want to send some greetings to somebody? On the camera right quick. Send out hello to.
Yeah, I'll say hello to my family back in Italy, my sister, my aunt. I miss them a lot. I don't get to go back too much. Like, and I used to go back home in the summers, but I definitely like think about them, and I have them like close to me everywhere I go. So I'm looking forward to see them like either this summer or like later this year to start my new chapter.
Right. Well, Guido, I want to appreciate you for being here, for coming here, and thank these guys for bringing you in. And man, this podcast has been very interesting, and it's been great. So I want to thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. Like, it's great.
And before we go, I'd like to remind everybody to please subscribe to Desde Cero con Manuel. And we appreciate you being here. And Guido, thank you for being here, man.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
All right. We'll see y'all guys next time. And thank you.